Actually, I have him tied for fourth with Derrick Henry. I have Russ number one. And the reason why I put Russ number one, Skip, is not, yeah, he has gaudy numbers. But if you look at what he's doing, his defense is historically bad, Skip. They're on pace to give up the most yards in the 101-year history of the NFL. And they're also giving up 28.7 points per game. So 28.7 points a game to go along with 480 yards. I have Rodgers in second place. Rodgers is number one in QBR, 17 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He's almost a full yard ahead of Rodgers and Brady in yards per attempt. I got Mahomes third because Mahomes quietly has been under the radar, Skip. He's 16 touchdowns, 1 interception, and even in the game that he lost, he threw for 340 and put up 32 points. And I have Brady tied with Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry is on a team that their defense is bad. And because he's able to run the air out of the football, it keeps them off the field from being even worse if they had to play even more. So, because what everybody's doing, if you notice this, people at home, everybody talks about Brady since week 3, like week 1 and 2 didn't happen. He played week 1 and 2. And he didn't look good because he didn't look good those first 2 weeks. We got to pick it up from week 3, where everybody else get to have to count weeks 1 and 2. Because guess what? They go toward this total yardage. They go toward this total touchdowns. So with that being said, I have Rodgers tied for fourth. I have Russ 1. I have Aaron Rodgers 2. I have my homeboy 3. I have Tom Brady tied with Derrick Henry for fourth.
The Brady hate on this show knows no boundaries. Shannon, I regret to inform you, Tom Brady has edged ahead in the MVP race. I'm not saying he's running away with it, but he's edged ahead.
What does the betting public say? What is the betting? That's what you tell me. You say, what is the betting odds? What do they say?
I don't care. What? I don't tell you that.
Yeah, you do.
All I know is what my eye test tells me. And all I know is that over his last 5 games, Tom Brady is 15 touchdowns to 1 interception.
But he's played 7 games.
Okay. Well, the second game was pretty good because if memory serves, wasn't that the L.A. Chargers? I believe it was at home, and he came back from 24-7 down. I thought he played great in that game. He struggled on the Thursday night at Chicago, as we know. He didn't play awfully, but he struggled, and all I hear from you is this, woozy, and I keep telling you, no, it's really this. It's really 6 Super Bowls out of 9. Okay, so what you continue to neglect to tell America out there is that what Tom Brady is doing is off the charts, all-time extraordinary, because he's the one quarterback or one player, if you want to throw in Derrick Henry, who had no continuity going into the season. If you have Russ number 1, it seems like he's been with Pete Carroll in that offense for 2 decades. It feels like he's played for 20 years like Tom has done in New England. And Tom Brady took over a franchise known as the Succaneers that had the worst winning percentage in all of sports, that was 7-9 last year. And Jameis led the league in turnovers, obviously interceptions and lost fumbles with 35 total. And Tom Brady, in a very short time, has completely transformed that organization into, it's not just the Patriot way, it's the Brady way. He has imposed his will on this entire organization and entire community to where all of a sudden, I even read Football Outsiders last night, all their metrics have the Buccaneers as by far the best team in the league.
Okay, that's skip. That might be true, but what about Brady? What about his completion percentage, yards per attempt, QBR, touchdown to interception ratio? Where is he number 1 in any of those categories?
Pro Football Focus says he is by far number 1 in what it grades to be big-time throws, 20-plus yards down the field. He has 24. That's my stat, and I'm sticking to it.
Hold on. So let me ask you a question. Tom Brady, of all the guys that I listed, he's the only one that has more than 1 loss. Am I correct? Tom Brady has 4 interceptions. Aaron Rodgers has 2. My homeboy has 1. Okay, Russ has 6. But Russ, 5 or 6 Russ games have 1-score games. He's 4-1 in those games. And his team is giving up defense is giving up almost 500 yards and 29 points a game. Tom Brady's defense is 8th in points. 8th in points allowed. Stop it, Skip.
So what? So you're saying 8th is great?
8th in points allowed. That's top 10. Absolutely.
Well, it's not top 3. Again,
Skip, stop it.
I think they're really good on defense, but it's being transformed because the defense doesn't have to face the sudden change that last year's defense had to face, where you fall behind, all of a sudden it's turnover, get back on the field, back on the field. They've just played 2 straight completely clean games with no penalties and no turnovers. That's the Brady effect. And I'm going to remind you that from the start, he has not had Chris Godwin. Chris Godwin has missed 4 games. That's his best receiver, his Pro Bowl receiver, the receiver ranked #1 in the NFL in performance last year by Pro Football Focus. He's missed him for 4 games.
Can I ask you a question, Skip? Is Chris Godwin better than Devontae Adams? Because Aaron Rodgers played without him for 3 games.
Yep, and he's had him back, and he had him back at Tampa, right? For that game?
That was his first game back after missing the previous 3. What about Russ, Skip? Think about Russ. Russ had a 15-point lead against the Cowboys. The Cowboys come all the way back, take the lead. Russ has to go back down the field and throw a touchdown with a minute left in order to win that ball game.
Against one of the worst defenses in pro football history. Way to go, Russ. Impressed.
Skip. But here's the thing. The Seattle's defense, you make it seem like they're the 85 Bears or the 2000 Ravens.
They're definitely better than Dallas's defense.
Oh, that's not saying much, Skip.
Well,
that's not saying much.
Well, let me say more to you then. Let me say that Brady's 18 touchdown passes so far are 2nd in the league to Russ. So I'll take that to my bank. And then what has started happening here of late? Well, we just saw Russell Wilson against Arizona throw 3 interceptions, including a game loser in overtime. Okay, so you took a big step back as Brady took a step forward. And by the way, he's the NFC Player of the Month for October at age 43. Who knew it? Somebody I know that I work with here on Undisputed has said for 4 straight years he should take it on home. He's done. That's enough, Tom. Go on home.
Okay, how about this? What should have happened? We're talking about this year. We're talking about right now, and we're talking about the MVP voting. If you look at what his numbers are, Skip, he's 19th in QBR, 21st in yards per attempt.
You already said that.
22 in completion percentage. Everybody else on the list is Aaron Rodgers is 1st. Mahomes is 2.
Okay, speaking of Mahomes taking a step back, have you been watching him closely the last 4 games? Because speaking of QBR, it has plummeted. He has been just ordinary the last 4 games.
He's second.
Well, look at his last 4. He's averaged 65 the last 4 games. That's not. He's a 90 guy. He's a guy who dominates, and he has not been dominating. And by the way, at Denver against a very average Denver Bronco team, he and his offense went 0 for 8 on 3rd down. Is that good? And he had a QBR of 53, which is barely above average. Is that good? He's taking a step back.
Their defense is even without Von Miller, their defense is commendable because you think about a pick 6, 2 fumbles, and a kick return touchdown is what doomed the Denver Broncos. But here's the thing. Even though you said over his last 4 games, he's averaged 65 QBR, he's still 2nd, and Tom Brady has higher average QBR, and he's 19th. So what does that tell you? Here's another thing, Skip. As bad as you say Mahomes has been playing, Tom Brady is only averaging 1 yard passing per game while averaging 4 more attempts per game. So when you look at it, Mahomes is right there. It's because he set the bar so high. Remember, Skip, his first year of starting, 5,050 touchdowns in a single season. So that's so fresh in our minds. We think that he's having a bad